Just when you thought the partisan rancor in Washington couldn't get any worse, there was this last night. Senator Elizabeth Warren was shut down on the floor of the Senate when she tried to read a letter written by Coretta Scott King as part of her opposition to the nomination of Senator Jeff Sessions as Attorney General.
You know, these are dangerous times. At times like this, it is more important than ever that the Attorney General of the United States has the guts and the independence and the good moral judgment to stand up to the president when he seeks to violate the Constitution and ignore the law.
Sessions has faced tough scrutiny about his tenure as the U.S. Attorney for Alabama back in the 1980s and early 90s. Critics accused him of racist behavior. He was denied a federal judgeship by the U.S. Senate as a result. The chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus opposes his current nomination.
Senator Sessions is not a friend of Lady Justice, and he's not a friend of communities of color. His record makes that crystal clear.
Senate Republicans dismissed Warren's behavior as disrespectful and maintained their support for Jeff Sessions.
It's been tough to watch all this good man has been put through in recent weeks. This is a well-qualified colleague with a deep reverence for the law. He believes strongly in the equal application of it to everyone.
The vote on Sessions was scheduled for today, so he would still be a sitting senator yesterday and could vote in favor of Betsy DeVos as Education Secretary. Joining me now are Frank McNamara, former U.S. Attorney from Massachusetts, who served when Sessions held the same post in Alabama. Frank, it's good to see you, and he's a Trump supporter. Harvard Law Professor Ron Sullivan is the director of the Harvard Crimson Justice Institute and was an advisor to the Obama transition team. Ron, it's good to see you, too.
Good to see you as well.
You think this guy is qualified to be Attorney General? Why, Frank?
Without question. I think he's qualified in terms of temperament. I think he's qualified in terms of experience. And having known him since 1986, although, I don't hang out with him, he hasn't come to my house, but I worked with him. I saw him at conferences, talked to him. I've seen him recently at the convention, at the inauguration.
We have pictures of that.
Election day, yes. I got pictures.
But, it's in some ways it's deja vu all over again. Here he is in 1986, testifying when he was denied the judgeship. Yeah. Here is young Jeff Sessions before the Senate.
I am not a racist. I am not insensitive to blacks. I have supported civil rights activity in my state. I have done my job with integrity, equality, and fairness for all.
So, Frank, his critics say he's a racist, that he's the most, Chuck Schumer said he's the most anti-immigration member of the Senate. He's disrespectful of rights of women. Do you know these things not to be true, or do you just know that you like him and consider him a colleague? I mean, do you know that these things aren't legit?
I know him. I like him as a colleague.
But you don't know that these aren't true.
I do.
How?
Because I've talked to the guy. I've followed his career. I've studied the Perry County case. Let me just make one point, and then I'll turn it over to the master of Winter House.
Very kind of you. Thank you very much.
The left has been very good at assessing the right when the right creates false stereotypes of minorities and uses it in a hateful way.
What's that got to do with this?
What the left is not very good at doing is looking at itself in the mirror and saying, what stereotypes, what unjust stereotypes do we create and impute to others from the South?
Okay, let's get away from the stereotypes. Give me the top of the bill of particulars in your mind, Ron, against Jeff Sessions as Attorney General. What's up there?
Well, the Perry County 3 I'm deeply concerned about, and that would be his record with respect to voting rights. And as sitting U.S. Attorney at the time, he prosecuted 3 people, essentially made it a federal crime, or argued that it was a federal crime for these 3 individuals to assist people in voting. Our former Governor Deval Patrick was one of the lawyers who participated in that case.
And submitted a letter to the Judiciary Committee a few weeks ago.
And submitted, which I thought was a very compelling
Sessions,
letter as well.
But can you, staying on this issue, can you make the case, let's assume you both agreed, which you don't, on what happened in the 80s.
Right.
Can you make the case in 2017 that he's the same man? I mean, there are other people who've evolved. I don't know if he has or not, but do you know that he's the same Jeff Sessions that you perceived him to be and Deval Patrick perceived him to be in 1986?
No, I can't say that with any degree of certainty. I can look at his record on voting rights. That's at the top of my list, and I think that's a huge concern that should be considered.
Also, what I was reading in the last few days, he has said in the past that Roe v. Wade is a colossal mistake, but he told the Senate hearing, I'll respect the law of the land. I mean, there are a lot. we were talking about Ted Kennedy before. Ted Kennedy was opposed to abortion, but he said, I won't allow my personal feelings to stand in the way of a woman's right to choose. Isn't that a variation on what Jeff Sessions said to the Senate committee? I think Roe v. Wade is a horrible decision, but it's the law of the land, and as Attorney General, I'll honor it. Isn't that what you want him to say?
Absolutely. That's what. Not only that's what we want him to say. That's how we want him to behave when he is confirmed.
But why is that
as
enough?
Attorney General? It's not enough, at least for me, because I think that his past is a good representation of what he's going to do in the future. And again, with respect to voting rights and treatment of African Americans who want to exercise the franchise, I think it's problematic. I'll point you to another aspect of that litigation where he, as U.S. Attorney, only investigated black voters who use the absentee ballot, and then only in districts where white incumbents were in jeopardy. That, to me, is deeply troubling and something that if I were a senator, would take into account.
Do you know that not to be true, Frank?
Yeah, I've looked at the Perry County case. There were 3 defendants who initially came to the local DA. They brought the case to Sessions. Sessions was not the court of first resort. He looked at the DA's file. He decided to prosecute. One of the complainants happened to be a black elected official in that black belt county of Perry. One of the things that I think, and Professor, I hope you would agree with me, that is probative, the son of 2 of the 3 defendants in that case is now supporting Jeff Sessions' candidacy and wrote a very heart-wrenching letter in which he basically said, however much I may disagree with Senator Sessions programmatically, there's no doubt in my mind that he has no racial animus.
How about it, Ron?
I hope that's right. I don't know whether he has racial animus or not. That's not my position.
You know how you believe he acted.
Position. I know how he behaved.
If this is not true, why would, just to name a few, Coretta Scott King, Ted Kennedy, who often worked with Republicans and conservative Republicans, I saw it firsthand, Deval Patrick, why would they all say these things about this man if they didn't believe him to be true?
2 things. This was 30 years ago. Far be it from me to fathom the inscrutable workings of the late Senator Kennedy's motives.
Deval Patrick was there.
But secondly, I read the Coretta Scott King statement and the letter. Upon my word, it is very clear to me that, with all due respect to the late Coretta Scott King, she didn't write that statement.
Well, so what?
That statement was written, well, so
Did
what?
Donald Trump write his inaugural address that
No.
you were at? Does that mean that isn't attributable to him?
No, it doesn't mean that. But what it means is you have to know the context in which Coretta Scott King was signing that
Okay, let's
letter.
move on to something else. There may be an investigation about whether the Russians tampered in an election. Jeff Sessions was the first senator to endorse Donald Trump. Explain to me why a person sitting at home should say, I'm confident that Jeff Sessions, if the evidence takes him to places Donald Trump might not like, that he's going to go there. Why should we have any confidence in that at all?
Well, my memory of the Senate Judiciary Committee proceedings was that one of the most vibrant headlines emerging from Sessions' first day was Sessions breaks with Trump. There were a number of areas
That's
in
what
which...
he said. I mean, what is he going to say? I'm not going to go after if I find that there was Russian interference, I'm not going to investigate it?
I'll put it this way to you, Jim. Jeff Sessions will, within the first couple of months of his tenure as Attorney General, show far more independence vis-a-vis President Trump than Eric Holder showed vis-a-vis Barack Obama.
I don't want to debate Holder. You know, one thing that I assume would make someone like you may even know him, this Ron Rosenstein, who's was the number 2 guy, nominated to be the number 2 guy. Every Democrat I've seen read it, and he's the guy that operates the Justice Department day to day. I mean, I'm not minimizing the significance of Sessions' appointment. Everybody raves about this guy, career guy, fair-minded. Does that not give you some confidence if Trump's putting that guy in there and Sessions signed off on it, that Sessions wants to be true to the law? It doesn't do it for you?
Look, I hope so. These hearings and everything we're talking about are proxies. They're proxies as to what he's going to do when he is confirmed, and he will be confirmed. We can only hope that what he says is true. I'm dealing with the Perry County 3 and other activities when he was Attorney General.
You'd vote against them if you were sitting in the Senate.
I would vote against him for those reasons.
Last thing for you. Let's assume everything you say is right, Frank. We only have 30 seconds left. Why wouldn't it have been in the interest of uniting a divided country for Donald Trump to pick a similarly qualified person, according to you, who is not this kind of divisive figure, who did not get denied a federal judgeship in 1986, primarily because 10 senators and a committee thought he was a racist? Why doesn't he pick somebody that unites everybody?
I think Trump's going to get heat from the left for whoever he picks.
He got praise for Ron Rosenstein. He got praise for General Mattis.
Mattis?
Almost unanimous
not
vote.
unanimous for
Elaine
Mattis.
Chao, only 6 no votes.
How many people did I hear saying too many generals in the cabinet? Look, I think Trump decided whoever he was going to pick, he was going to take heat for. Why not pick the most qualified person? I think really that's what his mindset
We got to go.
was.
And by the way, I'm not shaking your hands out of disrespect. I'm not shaking your hands because I don't want to spread an illness.
Read about the son of the Perry County Three.
Frank, thank you. Ron, it's good to see you.